So I'll start here with this. Let's get through this and then we'll go open forum and talk about it. So we're doing overcoming rejection today. It's been kind of a requested topic by a lot of people on email. And I'll just read something that I have written here and then we'll just open it up to everybody. So I know people always say stuff like it's not personal or just move on, but we both know that's not how it actually feels when you get rejected. And, you know, when a girl turns you down or a job doesn't call you back, it stings. It hits your pride and you start to second guess yourself, just like everybody does. And the worst part is most guys deal with rejection by pretending it never bothered them. They'll shrug it off or they'll crack a joke or they'll act like they're too cool to care, but we both know that they're lying. Everybody does. It hurts on the inside. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that, you know, rejection sucks. But the issue is most of us don't actually learn anything from the rejection because we're too busy feeling sorry for ourselves or blaming something else entirely. You know, think about it. Remember, for example, a girl that may have ghosted you and you probably said that she's stuck up or she doesn't get you or she's a bitch, whatever it was. And maybe the truth was simpler. Maybe you just didn't bring your best self that day, potentially. Maybe you stumbled on your words or said something stupid. You know, maybe the confidence wasn't there or your approach just wasn't great. It's uncomfortable to admit shit like this, but that's probably somewhere closer to the actual truth of what happened. And the same goes for job opportunities that you missed out on. You can complain about the interviewer, the hiring process, or how unfair it was, or you can face the fact that maybe you weren't as prepared as you could have been for the interview, right? Maybe your skills weren't as sharp yet, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And my point is that rejection usually tells you something useful, something important if you're willing to listen though. And most of us don't. We let our egos get in the way, we'll deflect, we ignore the feedback that's literally right in front of us. And I used to hate rejection too, obviously, when I was first starting to go out and talk to girls and go clubbing, or when I was first starting to try to get employed and I had a ton of job interviews up and I was fucking scared shitless, just shaking in my boots, you know? Every no felt like proof that I wasn't good enough. And eventually I realized something, that when you pretend rejection doesn't bother you, it becomes pointless, actually. Rejection will start to sting more and more until you start to face it. It does hurt, and it is okay, and it's a signal to change. And pretending it's not your fault is just keeping me stuck in the same spot. That's what was happening to me. And I was repeating the same mistakes. I was super nervous, dude. I had these job interviews where I was like stumbling on words and shit and fucking sweating my ass off and wondering if I did good or did I answer the way they wanted to, instead of presenting a bit of confidence and showing them like, hey, this guy has the gift of gab. He can speak. He'd be a good coworker. We wouldn't get into any problems, yada, yada. You know, I was too focused on answering like a robot and saying the right things instead of presenting me as the right person for the job, you know? And I started to pay attention. Every time I got rejected by a girl or a job or whatever, I forced myself to ask, why did that really happen? Was I not confident enough? Did I rush it? Or did I just not show up ready? And honestly, it sucked even more than the rejection itself, because it meant admitting you're not perfect. And, you know, guess what? Once you stop lying to yourself, rejection starts teaching you something useful. For me, it showed me exactly what I needed to improve. And eventually I started getting rejected less and less. I started becoming more and more comfortable. And you can't stop rejection from hurting you completely, but you can start using it. And not as some vague life lesson, but as something like practical, actual feedback, how you could get better. And the thing that most guys get wrong about rejection is they'll sit around waiting for the feeling to pass. You know, they'll distract themselves, scroll social media, watch Netflix, vent to friends, all this bullshit. Anything to avoid actually dealing with the problem. But that never works. You can't just wait rejection out because it constantly stays in your brain. Believe me, I tried to pretend like my rejection didn't matter and that time will pass, but you're always going back to why the fuck that happened until you really deal with the issue. And the quickest way to move on is just pretty straightforward, dude. Take action. Sounds so fucking stupid. Take action. How do you get over rejection? Take action. What the fuck does that mean? I'm not actually saying grand gestures or dramatic transformations like become a whole different fucking person. I mean, doing small practical things to rebuild your confidence. If you got turned down for a job, just fix your fucking resume. You know, maybe learn a new skill, apply somewhere else, look for another job. If a girl wasn't into you, maybe it's time to get in better shape. Maybe you update your lifestyle, you know, or your style, the way you dress, or just, you know, work on feeling more confident when you speak to people by speaking to more people whenever you get the opportunity, men or women, it doesn't matter. And it sounds basic, dude, but that's the fucking point of all of this. The best way to recover from rejection isn't some inspirational speech or pretending you're suddenly bulletproof. It's just the simple stuff. You know, working out, setting small little goals, the things that make you feel better about yourself every single day. And that's how you genuinely rebuild this confidence. It's bit by bit, you know, kind of like you just try to be 1% better than you were yesterday. And that compounds into a completely different person in a year. You know, just like we were talking about earlier with Keith, he's basically a whole new life. And it happened in the span of a year. And another thing that helped me a lot was stop replaying rejection over and over in your head. Seriously, you have to cut that kind of shit out. Thinking about all the ways you messed up or wishing you said something different doesn't fucking help you. It just keeps you stuck. You know, you're sitting in the fucking shower and replaying the goddamn conversation or the rejection, whatever happened. You're always going to go through that same motion. And what are you solving? Nothing. It just keeps you stuck, bro. Instead, ask yourself honestly what you could do better, how it could have gone differently in terms of what you could respond with, and then move on. You know, don't obsess over rejection. Don't spend days replaying conversations, thinking about what you did wrong, wondering what people, think of you. Who gives a shit? And it'll get you nowhere. That's the worst part of this all. You're just torturing yourself. And it'll make you, anxious, hesitant to maybe approach someone else because you think you might fail the way you did last time, or not apply for that job because you don't believe in yourself because one job rejected you. Once you realize that, worrying won't change the past, life will start to get easy for you. I'm telling you. Just let it go. Kumbaya that shit. What was the Lion King? What were they saying? What was the little thing they had in Lion King? Who remembers that? How would that shit go? Hakuna Matata, dude. Fuck. That's it. Live life like that. And accept that rejection happens to absolutely everybody. Even guys you think never got rejected for anything. I guarantee you they did. And speaking of that, don't fall for the idea that some people just never face it at all. Okay. There's people that project themselves as like uber confident, as perfect, as they got everything locked down. That shit's nonsense. It's not real. All those guys that you admire, the successful ones that have it all together, they got rejected way more than you actually realize, whether it was in their successful businesses, their successful marriages, relationships, whatever the fuck it is that you look up to, it blew up in their face multiple times. They're just better at shaking that shit off because they learn to focus on the next move rather than the last mistake. And that's crucial. And my advice to you guys would be to treat rejection like useful feedback from a good friend. It stings, but it's telling you something you probably need to hear. You won't take it personal. Figure out what it is, fix it, and get back out there and try again. That's the only way, 1 foot forward. It's never easy, but that's kind of also the fucking point. Real improvement rarely comes from things being easy. It comes from noticing where you're falling short and deciding to do something about it. And rejection, as uncomfortable as it is, it shows you exactly where you need to work. So don't run from it, just face it and keep going. So that's my little chirp here on guys struggling with overcoming rejection.
I think also with obsessing over it, you relive it over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's not just one rejection. You're living multiple rejections.
Yeah, you're multiplying the pain.
The next attempt. Yep, exactly.
Because your brain doesn't know between real and imagined, just like psychocybernetics taught us. So you reliving the pain is literally it's like getting rejected 100 times over every time you think about it. Why, bro? Just go through the process.
Yeah, and then you start using stupid language like, I always get rejected. No, you got rejected twice. You've relived it 100 times, so that's your perception.
Yeah, shit's dangerous. You get into a nasty loop that will deflate your confidence completely, like way worse than the actual rejection itself was. Guys will build a narrative in their head that it was 100 times worse than what they really experienced past a certain amount of time where you can't even remember what happened. They'll catastrophize the event. Like a girl rejected them, but then it was like the worst thing that could ever happen to them potentially, or a job said no and it crushed their fucking ambition completely because all they do is relive that moment over and over and they're terrorizing themselves. That shit's crazy to see, dude.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Just move on, guys. Seriously, who gives a fuck? Dude, I like to say this all the time. You got one ticket to punch in this world. Time's running out, dude. The clock never fucking stops to wait on you for shit. You either go or you stay still. And that's all. So there's pain in both. Staying still is going to hurt you in the long run, and going forward will hurt you in the long run too. You got to pick a struggle, dude.
I know for me, I had to gain experience. I would say the hard way. Because I had to learn how to dress better, how to go to the gym, and I didn't know what to do in the gym, but I had to learn, through YouTube and through talking to people. There's so many things that I had to learn. It took my process several years. But in terms of talking to girls and so forth and dating and all that, I would say that, yeah, there was no other way for me to learn unless I went through the experience and go on dates and so forth. And, but yeah, definitely took years.
Yeah. Takes time, dude. There's no shortcut either. Don't think there's a magic pill that you could just, 5 steps to this. I hate that shit in the world today. That's all you read today. 3 steps that. Abs in 60 fucking minutes. Calm down, dude. There's a process where you unwind all the bullshit out of your head, where you get over this rejection. It just takes these baby steps. You got to keep doing it. Exposure therapy, right? Keep getting rejected until it no longer is so catastrophic in your brain. There's nothing wrong with failing or being rejected. Change your relationship with it. It's a part of the process that's actually critical to your success. Do you think I would have learned all this bullshit that I know about women if I hadn't got rejected to fucking shit? Do you know how many women have turned me down? I've lost, dude, I lost count in just one night alone. I would lose count. The amount of women, some women would reject me brutally, like try to really break my ego down a peg. And I just literally rolls off my shoulder, vicious with it. It rolled off my shoulder. Like, bitch, whatever. Next, I'll talk to your friend. Who the fuck are you? It got to that point where I just stopped caring. Like, rejection was expected, and it was a fun part of the process of going out and getting women. It's like, okay, what's some fucking sideways shit a bitch is going to tell me this time? And what am I going to say? Come back, something smart, last second. That'll make her laugh, and then her defenses are down, and all of a sudden, everything's good again. That's all it is, dude. Life is the same. The interviewer tests you the same way. They're trying to pressure you a little bit at a job interview just to see if you pop or break in some way. And if you passing with flying colors doesn't necessarily mean you gave the right answer anyways. It's just you confidently answered. And you answered in a way that made you seem like you won't crack under pressure. And that's what most people are looking for. When I was hiring people, that's the kind of shit I was looking for specifically. It's like, I'm asking you questions to probe how you would respond to certain situations. There's not necessarily a right answer. Just how do you handle things? How do you handle the rejection? How do you handle the stress, the pressure? And if it's positive, if you seem to be resistant mentally, you're on board, you're hired. That's with everything in life. Women test men in the same way. We call it shit tests, but there's also, this exists. You get shit tested at work. You get shit tested by men. You'll get shit tested by women. Life will shit test you. When everything seems to be going well, I don't know, the universe has a way of just like, oh, here you go. Let me sprinkle a pile of shit on your life real quick and see how you handle that one. And you can choose to break.
Or a handful of grenades.
All right, yeah, just blow it up in your face. Cool. How are you going to come back from this? And that's the difference between a successful person and somebody that fails or failing. Is a successful person just took the grenade to the face and he just walks forward like a fucking cartoon, dude, with his face just blacked out from smoke. That's it, Dude, that's life. It's a fucking joke. When you realize this shit, it's a clown show. You just don't stop. That's how you succeed.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go.
I was gonna say that the part that resonated with me was about thoughts in the shower that ruminate in your head about all the rejections, just living out that experience. That has messed me up. I was having that today, actually, not in the shower though, but I had to stop my train of thought to actually start. And I was even surprised. I was focusing so much on the negative. Then I changed my mind and I wanted to focus on the positive, and it really did. I mean, I focused on the day that's sunny, the clear skies, and just like the way I was getting dressed. That really helped me change my mind for that. So yes, I do agree. Ruminating on those dead conversations or rejections is gonna mess you up. That's done that to me for a long time. And to quote from the previous video, which I imagine is the reason why you make this chat for, it reminds me of analysis paralysis. That also helped me get out of my funk as well. When I thought about you saying that on that video, I'm like, yeah, I gotta leave that analysis so much. It's just gonna make me not do anything. Trying to overthink.
Yeah, it's a form of fear.
From this book, exactly. At the end of the day, this is all about fear, from what I've noticed.
Yep.
Well, yeah, fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection or failure. It's one of those two. That's what analysis paralysis.
I like to use, like, for example, for like Kobe Bryant playoffs. I think it was like 1997 or so forth. He shot some air balls and he lost the game for the whole team. And I saw where Shaq was saying that at that time he gave him a hug and he told him it's all right and so forth. And then Kobe, in that summer, he took that time to get his legs stronger and so forth and all that. And then that kind of helped him, to get that three-peat and so forth. But yeah, so I like to look at it like that when it comes to life. Like, I like to look at it for myself. Like, hey, you failed, you hit rock bottom, but learn from this and don't let that heartbreak or whatever it is that you are feeling, use it as fuel. And in order to become that champion who you are.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you appreciate these kinds of episodes or want to be a part of these kinds of conversations, check the link in the description below. Hop on the private community and join us. We host these daily, and we'll see you there. Take care.